here's what all these water heaters look like now that they're loaded up. I unloaded them so that I could get out all the non-ferrous fittings and stuff. Most of them had like a brass drain valve on the bottom and a brass pressure relief valve on the top. That's really the only thing to strip off of these. A lot of them were gas fired and they had these little, whatever they are, flow regulators, but they're just die cast and that's not really worth anything. And they're attached with a steel line, which is hard to cut, so I didn't fool with that. But there's 36 of them in total, including what's on the truck. So I should be able to get a good average price, or I should say average weight for a water heater, which is what I really want to do. And then that's the valves and fittings I took out. I got a bucket of clean brass, which was mostly all the drain valves, and then a bucket of dirty brass, which was mostly the relief valves. I was trying to figure out a way to get these apart and clean them, but I couldn't figure out a good way to do it, so I just gave up. I got a couple of them like this one just by fooling around with it long enough, but there wasn't really an efficient way to do it that I could see. So let's go to the yard and see what we get. Okay, I'm back home, so hopefully you can see this, but 36 water heaters netted 5,640 pounds of what they called shredder feed. They paid 4 cents a pound for a total of $225, and it worked out to 156.66 pounds per water heater on average. So I mean, that's not bad. That's like, it works out to like $6.25 per water heater or something like that at this price. I kind of screwed myself a little bit by unloading them all and reloading them to take all those valves out. I really shouldn't have done that. That was a waste of time. It only gained me like $24. 18 pounds of dirty brass and 13 pounds of clean brass, and it basically doubled the work, so don't bother doing that. But yeah, anyway, as far as these air conditioners go, I got these from the same place, and what I did, I just took as many screws out as I could find, and then they kind of just fall apart when you do that. I cut out any loose wiring, pulled the fan motors out, cut out copper lines. Most of it is number 2 copper because it has lots of soldered connections on it. Took the radiators out. Those will go as copper aluminum radiators. People say you can strip these down and pull the copper out of them, and I tried that. Someone said if you take a utility knife or like a razor knife or whatever and run it down the top of the tube, and then take like a chisel or a screwdriver or something and punch it in between the tubes and squeeze the aluminum fins away from the copper tubing, you can just pull the copper out. And that does work, but like, it's so much effort, it's ridiculous. So I pulled one little one apart and weighed it before and after I did that, and it was like less than half the weight was in copper. It was mostly aluminum. So the price difference came to like 30 cents a pound or something like that, and that's just like completely not worth it for the amount of effort that's involved. It was so much work, and like the copper you get out isn't even Bear Bright is just #1 copper because it's all tarnished. So I wouldn't bother going that far with it, but cutting the ends off seems to be worth it, because that's really easy to do, and at least in my case, that increases the value. Well, let's see, by about 18 cents a pound right now. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely worth it for like a 20 or 30 pound radiator. And then there's some of the ends. If you cut them real clean and don't leave any of the aluminum on, you can just pop these little copper noodles out really easily. So that's nice. And then people were saying you can actually take the compressors and cut them open. Like, there's no way that would be worth it. That would be so much work. And like, even when you cut it open, it's just like an electric motor in there. So you still have to keep going and tear that down, and that's super hard to do. So I'm not even going to bother with that. I'm just going to sell them whole. The inside units, like the evaporator units and furnace combos, I pulled some of the coils out of those, if they had one, and just left everything else. Like, there's still some electric motors and stuff in some of them, but it's just, they're pretty small, and it's really not worth the trouble that it would be to get those out. But yeah, I'm gonna get all this loaded up and take it in tomorrow, and I'm really interested to see what I get for this, because I've really never scrapped AC units before, so I'm curious how much they're actually worth. I think there was, well, let's see, there's one compressor per unit, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Oh, and there's 2 more over there hiding in the tin pile. So 14 condensers. And then a little bit extra from the evaporator units. All finished finally. Apparently there's a law in this state where you can't sell, or scrapyards can't buy evaporating or condensing coils from central air conditioning units except from contractors, corporations, or individuals who are in the business of repairing, maintaining, installing, or removing, I guess, the whole systems. I'm not exactly sure how the law works, but that yard I went to said they couldn't buy them unless I brought them written permission from someone with a license, or someone who is licensed as a HVAC technician to sell them. So that's why you saw me, or you didn't see me unload them. But I went and got a letter from the guy that I got most of that from, went back to the yard, sold the rest of it, so it's all done. But that was definitely worth it. As far as prices went, it worked out to about $50 per condenser in total. So I'm definitely going to try to do that again. Next time, I kind of wish I had saved one of the compressors just to cut it open and see what that was all about, because I don't know, people swear up and down that it's worth it, but I just wanted to get rid of them, so I sold them. But next time I'll cut one open and see what's in it.